2024 was a huge year for Japan. The ruling party faced a major political scandal, leading to the prime minister stepping down. A new leader took over, only to lose a parliamentary majority, something Japan hasn't seen since 2009. Now, the ruling party is weaker than they have ever been. With public frustration over the economy and a political gridlock growing, let's dive into 3 major events that would define Japan's political landscape in 2025. The first event is the 2025 budget proposal. Japan's fiscal year ends in March 2025, meaning that the government will need its budget to be approved in parliament. The current government is a minority government. This means that they cannot pass a budget without debate. They will need to work with other parties to get their budget approved. If the ruling party wants to avoid intense debates, the best path is to work with smaller parties to get a majority in parliament. At the moment, there are only 2 parties that meet this requirement: the Democratic Party for the People and the Japan Innovation Party. The DPP wants the government to increase the tax threshold from 1.03 million yen to 1.73 million yen, which you can learn more about in a different video. I'll put the link in the description. The Japan Innovation Party wants to make all high school tuition free. The government agreed to increase the threshold to 1.23 million yen, which is nothing near the 1.73 million yen goal. On January 15th, DPP leader Tamaki clarified that they will approve the budget if the threshold is increased to 1.73 million yen. The government argued that increasing the threshold will result in a 7.1 trillion yen budget deficit. However, they haven't provided data to support this claim. I'm skeptical that the government has accounted for the potential revenue generated by increased spending, which could result from raising the tax threshold. Anyway, if the DPP says no, the ruling party can still consult with the JIP for their budget approval. According to the JIP, their free high school tuition plan can be covered if the government spends 600 billion yen. If this calculation is true, the JIP's proposal is more appealing than the DPP's proposal. The government could work towards free education rather than the 1.73 million yen threshold. So now we have several scenarios that could play out. Will the LDP be able to achieve their budget proposal? Will the LDP succumb to the DPP or JIP? Will citizens see the JIP as traitors for working with the LDP against the DPP? If the LDP teams up with the JIP, the 1.73 million yen threshold might not happen. Will the JIP and DPP work together to pressure the LDP? Or will the Prime Minister potentially resign and call for a snap election? Prime Minister Ishiba also said that a grand coalition is possible, hinting at a coalition with the CDP, the main opposition party. The CDP quickly denied this, and Ishiba clarified that a coalition was not his intention, but he only mentioned it casually. But the scenario, an LDP and a CDP coalition, is possible. Regardless of their party differences, Ishiba and Noda have similar ideologies, so while a traditional coalition is far-fetched, Noda supporting Ishiba is plausible. In 2012, when Noda was the Prime Minister, the LDP, Kome Party, and Democratic Party of Japan signed a 3-party agreement to change Japan's tax and social welfare system. This raised consumption taxes from 5% to 10%, resulting in one of the reasons why the DPJ fell. So, while the chances are slim, very slim, a grand coalition is possible. And if this does happen, the CDP will probably split, and that would end the main opposition party. The second event that would shape Japanese politics in 2025 is the upper house election in July. Depending on what the LDP ends up doing, they will probably struggle in the upper house election. The LDP's decision on the budget will most likely affect their approval rating. If they don't adopt the 1.73 million yen threshold, the DPP will further attack the LDP. The DPP may surpass the CDP's popularity and support once again. If the LDP works with the JIP for their budget, the JIP may suffer a great loss. The CDP may also struggle as they aren't the most supported opposition party despite being the largest opposition party. The LDP still has a few tricks up its sleeve though. For example, the LDP could potentially gain seats by agreeing to subsidize gasoline, but that could make the Prime Minister vulnerable from within the party. As a matter of fact, there are LDP candidates who are hungry for Ishiba's seat. It would be in their favor to use this election to their advantage. And worst case scenario, the Prime Minister could also dissolve Parliament this summer. This would force a lower and upper house election, which would put immense pressure on smaller parties. And the third event that will define Japanese politics in 2025 is the Tokyo Metropolitan Assembly election. Currently, the LDP has 30 seats in the Tokyo Assembly, which makes them the largest party. However, they're in a tough spot, just like their peers in the national parliament. On January 17th, it was revealed that 26 Tokyo Assembly LDP lawmakers misreported their fundraising party income. The LDP claimed that they'll be fixing their financial statements, but this is yet another example of the ruling party's corruption. Meanwhile, the governor's party, Tomin First Nokai, lost the April 2024 by-election to the main opposition party. Although the governor secured her re-election in the 2024 gubernatorial election, she lost 700,000 votes compared to the votes she received in the 2020 election. Regardless of the governor's recent performance, the governor may gain more power if the LDP loses seats. Not only are the local LDP lawmakers going to struggle with the scandal, but there's an even bigger threat, not just for the LDP, but for all political parties. This is Shinji Ishimaru's return to politics. On January 15th, Shinji Ishimaru announced his new regional political party, the Path to Rebirth. His unorthodox approach is stirring up online debates, so check out this video to learn more about Ishimaru's ambitious plans.